The Punch TV.
The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? And yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen. Assalamu alaikum. But tomorrow will be Independence Day. Show me the photo of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and his colleagues. But first, play the majority leader's video for me. And I want that to be a reminder every single morning. Before you take a contract, listen.
So, as MPs, as ministers, as government officials, what it is for us is that we must start base. That is why I said your critique, the Johnny Hughes, his this bite is good for us. Because if people will listen in government, that then you begin to set up the aim. What is really the case? Because it's not who you think you are as a leader, but what they think you are. So if the people think that you are not doing it right, your job is to situate it right and get it right. So as MPs.
So this is what the majority leader and MP for Futu thinks. Please listen, because we say the truth here without insults. Please listen, because we point you to the places where your eyes may not have been. Please listen, because we will not sing the unnecessary praise that is sung to you every morning in the updates. Please listen, because we are trying to build a nation together. Please listen without prejudice. Please listen, because it is important for all of our sakes. Thank you. Now, tomorrow will be our Independence Day. Show me the photo of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and his colleagues when they declared
the Punch
on the 6th of March 1957 at the old polo grounds. Now, you would see the kind of passion and the energy and the emotions that flowed. If you watch the video, Osajifo himself wept. He wept not because he was sad. He wept because he was happy that at long last the battle has ended, and thus Ghana, our beloved country, is free forever. Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he wept not because he was sad, but he wept because at long last the battle has ended, and thus Ghana, our beloved country, is free forever. And then he also mentioned that the black man is capable of handling his own affairs. The black man is indeed capable of handling his own affairs. For two solid years, I've told you about Gihok. Gihok is a baby of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Gihok, it is a baby of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I have told you how SNIT had taken Gihok to court. I told you how insurance company had taken Gihok to court. I told you how, in fact, suppliers had been up in arms, come to carry their ethanol for production. I told you how the factory was shut down. I told you how production had dipped. I told you how the numbers had been ballooned, the number of staff had been ballooned. I told you how their profits had dropped. And now I'm going to tell you that the account of Gihok had been garnished. The account of Gihok is being garnished such that the salaries have not been paid. Very unusual. And it's been done because one of the suppliers had taken the company to court. In future, I will show you, an invoice. And then we will ask whether or not the invoice meets the requirement of what the Ghana Revenue Authority demands, the industry specifications and the requirements and the prerequisites. But what I can tell you this morning, I'll just do a bit of touch and go, because Gihok, as we speak, their workers have not been paid. Now, distributors and salespeople have been asked to make payments onto a Momo account. I'll share that with you. So the court has said that, Gihok, we have frozen your account. We want to pay money to so and so person. And I've spoken about this, but the president won't listen. A minister for state-owned enterprises won't listen. The boss at SIGA won't listen. When you talk, they go and pass around and then they come back. The minister for trade and industry won't listen. And the place is being run down. Are we running it down so that we will trade it off and sell it off to family and friends? I am concerned. I am worried. If you go into the various pubs and bars these days, you will see, for example, forgive me, FDA, the Castle Bridge. The bottle you find is not a new bottle. That bottle is supposed to be their premium production bottle for exports. Those were the bottles I showed you that had been exposed onto the sun and the rain, bought with your taxpayers' monies. Today we are producing with them locally, because if you had used those bottles to produce for exports, nobody would have bought them there. They would have all been rejected. But we are watching because the president's in-law is at post. The chief of staff's brother is at post. That is how we are running things down. And that is why we will say that we are independent, but indeed we are in perpetual slavery. And speaking of independence, I always ask the question, why do we begin telling our story of history, or our history from the time when the white man came? Check our history books. Our history books are always interested in starting a historical perspective, a historical story and analysis from when the white man came. So the question I want to ask on this eve of Independence Day is, were we not living and surviving and having our own story and history before the white man came? Were we not? We were living and surviving and living our history and our reality before the white man came. But check our history books, even the ones approved by NACA. Even the one approved by NACA. Then you learn in parliament that, yes, we are independent. We are 67 years. But the Minister for Education, we spent 68 million Ghana cedis to go and photocopy past questions, PASCO, to give to students at free SHS. When we were in secondary school, we used to go and buy our own PASCO, whether it's a Kiola, Pogba, whichever one it is. Today, we have institutionalized it such we are spending 68 million cedis. 68 million cedis to print PASCO. 68 million cedis to print PASCO. And the 68 million cedis that we're spending to print PASCO, there's a video. Show me the students, the school children on their stomachs, learning on their stomachs. I was recently part of a fundraiser to buy desks for schools. The same scenario that Dr. Baumia saw in opposition and rushed to go and buy chairs for people. You remember that? Today he is in power, along with all those people who supported and went with him.
The Punch
and instead of buying them desks, we are using 68 million Ghana cedis of the taxpayers' money to do photocopy. Now, the fundraiser for which I was part sold one chair, one dual desk for 230 Ghana cedis. So if your math is not as good as mine, and you even decide that you had 68 million cedis, and you do the calculation, you will see that you would have been able to buy at least about 300,000 of those desks for those students. 300,000 of those desks for those students. And the painful part is that the past questions that were printed were so sourced. Contrary to what the PPA section 40 says, contrary to that, we also did not get approval from the PPA board. We got our advice from WAEC and GES. I shall protect the public purse is breaking every law. Now, even more, find the GES video for me. The children learning on their stomach. Just show it while I speak. Even more worrying is the fact that every morning when we wake up, we are told, we have digitalized this, we have digitalized that, we have digitalized this, we have digitalized that. That's good to digitalize. In this age of digitalization, when we have failed to provide teachers with the syllabus and the handbook in hard copy, and we have told them that they can go and download. Just show the video of the children on their bellies. Just pause it when you get there. We told teachers that they would have to go and download their syllabus and their what do you call it, their curriculum, whatever it is that they need to learn, and teach the children. But then when it gets to the children, because somebody will chop, we have decided that we're going to do single source without approval from the board of the PPA. but with advice from WAEC and GES. So if we have really digitalized, wouldn't it have been wise to have uploaded these past questions onto the internet, say the Ghana Education Service's own website, or if you like, WAEC's own website, whatever it is, whichever website it is, so that the students can quickly download and have it, because we are moving towards digitalization. Okay, on my Jotadon on my iPad. Apologies to Tiny. It's a big question. I said if you do a calculation, 68 million cities would have given you 300,000 decks to have stopped these children from sitting on the floor to learn. The children are sitting on the floor to learn. Pause. When you get a pause, look at them. They are sitting on the floor to learn. 40% of our students don't have desks to sit on in the whole country. 40%, according to Chris's report. So which is much more important, the desks or the past questions which could have been uploaded? Where's the digitalization? Call him, bring him forward. It's a big problem. Are we really independent, and are we happy that at 67 we have children still lying on their bellies, sitting on the floor, some using cement blocks as desks to write and learn? But I don't blame them. Their children are not in the country. They are not part of the set of children, the MPs, the minister. Their children are not part of this mix. Oh. Their children are learning outside. Some of them, they actually have their families living outside. They only run to them and come and sit on TV, radio, talk. You don't find them. Sometimes when you don't see them like 2-3 months, ask where they are. They'll tell you they have gone back to their families. Are we independent? Show me the president's response on the LGBTQIA plus GPRT of TUC. While you look for it, look at the front page of the business analyst. Transport fares to go up by 30% effective March 7. Transport fares to go up by 30% effective March 7. This, you see here, the transport fares that will go up, it will only affect NDC people. It will only affect journalists who are speaking up. It will only affect civil society organizations who are speaking up. It will not affect MPP people and people who are supporters of the government. It will not affect them. You see those people who defend everything, even when the thing is so bad, this 30% increment that will happen on the 7th, and those who use their own cars, the fuel pricing, it will not affect them. All you need to do is to show your party card to the driver's mate that me a party ni. Nobody will charge you the extra. All you need to do when you go and buy fuel is to show your party card at the filling station, and it will not affect you. So this 30% is for people who are speaking up, people who are asking critical questions, people who are called naysayers, people who are called Sambalat and Tobias by the government. Pull up the president's response. There's the LGBTQ bill, the proper human sexual relations or sexual rights and family values bill that has been passed by Parliament. This is what the president says. He says, I am aware that last week's bipartisan passage by Parliament of the proper human sexual rights and Ghanaian family values bill on a private member's motion has raised considerable anxieties in certain quarters of the diplomatic community and among some friends of Ghana that she may be turning her back on her hitherto enviable, long-standing record on human rights observance and attachment to the rule of law. I want to assure you that no such backsliding will be contemplated or occasioned. I think it will serve little purpose to go at this stage into the details of the origin of this proposed law, which is yet to reach my desk. But suffice it to say that I have learned today a challenge has been mounted at the Supreme Court by a concerned citizen to the constitutionality of the proposed legislation. In the circumstances, it would be as well for all of us to hold our hands and wait the decision of the court before any action is taken. The operation of the institutions of the Ghanaian state will determine the future trajectory of the rule of law and human rights compliance in our country. President Akufo-Addo, 4th March, diplomatic New Year greetings with members of the diplomatic corps. This is what the president had to say. So then the first question that the streets are asking, and some of us, we represent the streets, they're asking, Mr. President, did you know that when you hurriedly signed the e-levy, did you know that when you hurriedly signed the e-levy, there was somebody in court, 3 members of the minority in court, challenging the e-levy. But you went ahead, and in just 2 days after it was hurriedly passed, you signed it. I say hurriedly passed because we were told that the e-levy would have town hall meetings, and these town hall meetings were even after we had complained and said that you have no consulted us. Why are you dipping your hands into our Momo wallets? Why are you pickpocketing us in our Momo wallets? We asked that question, and then you said, oh, you come and explain to us. It was at those e-levy meetings and all those e-levy campaign messages that you told us that we will not go to the IMF. Shamefully, we are the IMF. We were called names. Nobody has had the decency and dignity to apologize. Not even you, respectfully, Mr. President. Respectfully, not even you, Mr. President. Nobody. Nobody. Now, we are here knowing that there's a precedent that when you got to e-levy, you knew that the matter was in court, but you signed. When you got to LGBT, first, your finance minister designate comes to tell us that we're going to lose some 3.5 billion. And if you look at all the things that were mentioned in there, really, if we had been responsible and disciplined enough, we won't be beggars, because now we are thinking even of the protection of our family values and human rights like beggars.